Well, this is my bonus devotional for today, which is Friday, July the 16th. And I've titled this Faltering Faith. It's taken from 1 Samuel chapter 27. Now, Saul had at the end of 1 Samuel 26 spoken words of affirmation to David, hypocritically, I might say, saying, "Blessed be thou, my son David. Thou shalt both do great things and also shalt still prevail." And yet David knew the unrelenting evil character of Saul the king, and said in his heart, "I shall now perish one day by the hand of Saul." Fearing for his life, David determined to quickly escape into the land of the Philistines, for he believed the king would not desist until he was dead. With his wives and 600 men, David retreated to the territory of Achish, the Philistine king of Gath. And when Saul learned he was departed from Israel, we read in 1 Samuel 27 verse 4 that he sought no more again for David. Now David appealed to his old foe, King Achish, and gave him his men and their families sanctuary in Gath, the home of the slain giant Goliath. Now, desiring to remove himself from the king's royal city, David requested a city where he and his families could dwell, and was given Ziklag, which happened to be a city that was in southern Judah. Now, David dwelled among the Philistines for 16 months, and he acquired possessions by invading and raiding the lands and cities of Israel's enemies, the Geshurites, Gezrites, and the Amalekites. Now, David made sure there were no survivors of the raids and deceived the Philistine king who believed he was raiding Israel. In fact, we read that Achish believed David, saying he hath made his people, Israel, utterly to abhor him or to hate him. Therefore, he shall be my servant forever. And I have a closing thought on 1 Samuel 27. Now, I can find nowhere the leading of the Lord in David's decision to depart from Israel and settle in the Philistine territories. David made that decision when he despaired of life. While he escaped Saul, his immediate enemy, he put himself, his men, and their families in the midst of the Philistines, yet another enemy. Now, I also cannot offer a defense for David's decision to lie and deceive King Achish, other than, now listen, he had fallen into a state where his fears were greater than his faith. Solomon, David's son and heir, would write, Proverbs 29, verse 25, "The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord shall be safe." You know, I've learned in life that trials and temptations present us with two choices. We can walk through life living by our wits and often driven by fear, or we can look at trials through the eyes of faith and trust and obey the Lord. Again, I want to read the verse, "The fear of man bringeth a snare." Of what are you afraid? Of whom are you afraid? What is it that guides your life? And I challenge you as I close, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. My friend, you might be in a place of faltering faith. I encourage you, recognize that fear is not from the Lord. It is that which rises within us when our faith is faltering. Trust the Lord and obey him. God bless. Bye-bye.